What's up, guys? It is that Panda again. I'm here again with another video, and I am still sick, as you can tell and hear. I did take some medicine, so I am sounding a bit better, but you can still probably hear it in my voice. That being said, we will be going through this video with a sick panda, okay? And yeah, this was a crazy fight though. This mainly consisted of a 2v1, or not even mainly, this was a 2v1 video. I did have a little bit of skirmishes that we did at the very end of the event, but I decided like the video was so short that I wasn't going to post it, honestly. I didn't really want to edit that one up, and I was kind of trying to rush to get this one out because I do plan to try to post a few videos consistently this week, ideally. So we'll try to get around to that. That being said, this was a crazy fight. So to start off, we did actually notice movement from Gold. We had noticed that they had thrown a garrison march in their checkpoint, which, obviously we can't touch their checkpoint, but we could tell that they were kind of, moving weird. They had full riders in that checkpoint and stuff. We could kind of tell they were going to try to do a push, especially since we saw Azure was kind of building up to kind of jailbreak them. And our whole plan was just to try and like milk them for the maximum amount of kills. We honestly did not expect to win this fight. We expected to lose this 1,000,000%. I will talk about some mistakes we made. So I do think that this initial tower push was kind of not a bad move. I do think that we honestly could have been better off though, just going full defensive and waiting it out. Like we honestly didn't need to push into, Azure here, because what ends up happening is we decide, hey, we're going to give up Gold side and we're going to let Gold build and we're going to pressure Azure over here, which I do think that that was a good choice in general. I honestly think we could put some heavy pressure on Azure, especially since the whale gap is more significant compared to Gold and us, right? So we were able to do much more damage and better trade-offs against these guys when we were kind of slamming into their towers. That being said, I do think we overextended, which you will see shortly. What we do end up doing is we build 2 towers, actually. And honestly, given that we are taking on 2 fronts, I don't honestly know why we even pushed this, especially since like we mainly got 3 rally captains. So honestly, all they would have to do is swap their garrison around between the 2 towers, and they would still be taking as good of trades as they would normally be. And we could honestly just pressure this 1 tower and not overextended, which is what we do. And we do end up actually hurting ourselves more than helping ourselves by, getting slammed in a building tower. Plus, once the tower's built, we don't have like a garrison for both towers because, I don't know, like I just don't think we had a strong enough garrison for the back tower, and it was just really frustrating. And at that point, we decided, hey, we're going to back up because we do end up getting pressured. But as for now, we are going to be going on the hard offensive. And I mean, a lot of these reports were absolutely killer. I do think we popped their tower one of these times. It might be right here, honestly. Yeah, we burned it once. Honestly, we just kept up the pressure there. We could have pushed Azure back in this instance, but I do think we gave them too much momentum by building into them and then letting them kind of go on the offensive on us. And it was honestly our mistake. And I'm not even going to say our mistake. It was my mistake because I actually had kind of made the call to build that. And I was like, yo, let's kind of keep pushing. Let's try to just push these guys back. If we can pop their towers, we can kind of refocus on Golden, which is actually what we do end up doing. But it's not because we pop their towers. It's because we give up this front and we decide, hey, it's not worth it. And we do kind of back up, which, either way, I don't regret kind of my decision making. All of it's kind of a learning experience. I know like sometimes I just make bad decisions, and even if they are good decisions, I can see how they're flawed in the moment, and a lot of stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, the saying, hindsight is 20/20. We always look back on stuff and it's super obvious then, but at the moment I was like, hey, we got to put maximum pressure on these guys, push them back ASAP. We are already winning this. Well, let's kind of keep moving with the momentum, but we end up actually giving them too much momentum, and they end up actually having enough kind of pressure to kind of push us back, which was unideal. So yeah, we do end up losing this fight, and what we do is, and I'm going to just talk ahead of time because I don't want to really talk about this fight. I mean, it's kind of obvious what we're doing. We're just going kind of hard on the offensive, and I mean, you even see here, we start building this tower. We're getting absolutely slammed on it. Like I said, I really do wish we never built this tower, but if I'm going to be honest, building this tower is actually what kind of built up to maybe what happened. I do think like, at the end of the day, we maybe actually set ourselves up for a really good fight because, if we never built this tower, what happens later in this video probably would have happened, or maybe it wouldn't have happened, or maybe it would have still happened. But I don't want to spoil it, but I want you guys to know it was an insane checkpoint fight. And we honestly should not have been able to pull off what we pulled off, but it was insane, okay? So we do end up getting pushed back here. We go refocus Gold, which honestly, this was actually perfect for us because I actually knew that Crypt's, so basically I had already timed Crypt's sleep schedule, which is, Gold's main whale, and he was actually up past his normal sleep schedule, which was an issue, I mean, even here, you do see him kind of up, and this is like an hour or 2 past, like the normal kind of times I've ticked him for, and I do think like, he did end up going to sleep at some point, which is kind of like, okay, this this is the perfect time to push. We can kind of slap back gold. They don't have like crazy good field pressure, not enough. They don't have their whale garrison. They don't have their whale rally, yada, yada, yada. So we do end up pushing these guys pretty heavily, and it does pay off because we do end up getting the cutoff on them. And they actually try to hold, which I kind of understand why they tried to hold. But if I'm going to be honest, you know, okay, so there were some weird moves. Like, for example, here, we were pushing Azure, and it took us multiple minutes to pop this tower. They should have built another tower in Gold's Inn. They took so much time, and they hadn't even started placing the tower. You know, they gave us so much time to kind of just place ours, or not, sorry, not place ours, but just keep rallying into this tower with so much like free room, so much wiggle room. And we do end up popping this first tower. I think Gold maybe ends up building, or or Crypt goes to sleep, and we say, hey, let's refocus over here, because what we're doing is we're teleporting back and forth, trying to waste their cement by popping them, and also just delay them in general, because what ends up happening is they kind of like just wait it out. And I don't know if this is because they're out of cement, or if they're like, hey, these guys are going to pop another one of our towers, maybe we should wait. And honestly, this was like a really bad choice on their part, because we were so focused on gold kind of later in the video that we would not have had time to kind of port back up, which is actually what you end up seeing, because they they build directly into our checkpoint. And I actually, we had made the call, hey, do not defend those towers. We're not going to take those, we're not going to take their towers out or anything. We wanted to kind of push back gold ASAP. We wanted to push them back to their checkpoint, and we wanted to make like a move ASAP, like I said. And honestly, all we had to do was outwait Crypt. We just had to wait for him to sleep, and this would be kind of easy for us to push. And I know it's like such a simple strategy, but realistically, that's like all it has to come down to when you're fighting in battles like these. I mean, the same goes for any other whale, right? Like, we fought Rogue, and all we had to do was wait out Rogue. If he went to sleep, it was an easy win. I mean, you even see here, they don't have enough pressure. They don't have enough fillers to actually hold up a tower and place it. And this is kind of what we were kind of vying on, or kind of like, building up on. Even the same with happened with Azure. We popped their tower, and they just kind of had to wait it out. And eventually we do end up pushing into gold. I was surprised Azure didn't build sooner, which they do end up building while we're kind of pushing gold back. But it was too late, if I'm gonna be honest, because we do end up popping this tower. They do hold pretty hard, if I'm gonna be honest. Gold was holding this like their life depended on it. And honestly, their life did kind of depend on it. If they managed to hold this, and we got pushed by, Azure, we would have been in a really bad spot, because we would have had to like pick a struggle. The tower behind checkpoint wasn't actually holding us. If they destroyed it, it wouldn't cut our link. So we were like, okay, we're going to let them take the tower by the checkpoint, and we're just going to pop any tower that they potentially build if we really need to get to that point. And that's actually not what ended up happening, because what ends up happening is we do pop this tower. As you're going to see here, we do burn it shortly. They don't have enough fillers, and even if they did have enough fillers, we just are overwhelming, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I think our rally captains were just too strong. Their garrison honestly wasn't bad, but it just wasn't enough to really be able to take this on. So we do end up pushing these guys pretty hard. We managed to crack them. And eventually, they even tried to go on the offensive here, I honestly think that Azure really needed to make room off this. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if they ran out of cement, or if they were just waiting it out. I really can't say. But honestly, they really should have pushed while you're pushing gold, because our whole plan was just to break these guys before Azure could do anything. And if we could push these guys into their checkpoint, it was game over. They would have no say in doing anything. And that's honestly what happens. Azure does actually end up taking the checkpoint, but this is right as we're destroying their tower, and right as their tower kind of pops. So we really put ourselves in such an advantageous position, and I was like super freaking satisfied about this. I mean, you're going to see it soon. I really want you guys to see this fight, because this was crazy. And honestly, what we pulled off should have been pulled off, or like possible to pull off. It was crazy, guys. Also, by the way, I want to mention, in this tower, originally Glock was holding it, and I noticed the trades looked really weird, and I was like, all right, Big D, go send your garrison here. And he did have armaments on. The guy didn't have armaments on. Glock didn't have freaking armaments on his chassis when he was defending a tower. That hurt my brain. That hurt my mental. You do see here, by the way, Azure actually fills like the tower with like one troop marches, or just marches in general, so we can't teleport, which was a good decision on their part. I mean, honestly, we wouldn't have teleported anyways. To prevent us from kind of popping their tower, we wouldn't have had any room to kind of teleport down and make room for us to actually, rally it, or whatever the case. Yeah, they do end up taking this checkpoint, though. This first one was like just a swarm. I think they like tried to ego take it, which was honestly kind of crazy, and a good kind of choice, if I'm being honest, because we did not have a proper garrison here. We just assumed they wouldn't be like lunatic enough to swarm that, and luckily we did have somebody teleport up and fill that checkpoint really quickly, because we did want to stall for time. We wanted a few minutes. I mean, you're even going to see here, we do end up burning this tower, but they actually repair it, which I think was to kind of give their allies time to make as much room as they could. I mean, you even see me there. I empty the checkpoint out. We're not trying to take those rallies. We decided, hey, we're going to let them burn this first tower. We're not going to focus it at all. And we do end up popping that tower, and we actually do teleport up, which, we were not actually initially planning on holding that tower. We weren't really sure what we wanted to do, but I did see people kind of teleporting up. We saw them filling, and we just decided, hey, we're going to try something. And the thing that we tried was actually hilarious. I thought of it on the spot. I was like, you know what we can do? We can rally their checkpoint because they have been unable to take our rallies this whole time. They've been able to, because going on the offensive is far easier than going on the defensive in a lot of these cases, especially when it comes to taking like 3 rallies, and if you have proper rally captains, which we did, we had the gear, we had the kind of whale power, that's what we were able to do. And in this case, when you have the proper kind of rally captains and stuff, you're able to go on the offensive much more easily. Whereas if you're trying to defend, especially on a checkpoint, it's much harder, especially since, you're not defending right next to your bases where you're able to just like instantly pop in. You're filling from afar. We just have some really heavy hitters. I don't even think Azure had anybody to measure up to like, Big Daddy, for example, in like gear for gear, workshop for workshop, maybe close enough, but it wasn't like right there. And the same even applied for Crow. Crow has a like 6.5 million infantry hero, and he was tanking all of the rallies, which was absolutely, we were grateful for it, I'm gonna be honest. I remember even he was planning to go to sleep, and I remember he like woke back up because he couldn't go to sleep knowing that we were fighting, and it was like such an insane fight. And he was like, I gotta come back. But yeah, what we do end up doing is we go on the offensive. We know defending is pointless, so you know what we actually do? We empty this checkpoint out, and we force them to consistently defend it. And I'm honestly surprised they actually continue to do this. So what ends up happening is for the next hour or two, probably 2 hours, we empty the checkpoint out. Boom. They take it, we rally it, and they fill it. You know what I mean? And, I was honestly surprised they filled it as long as they did. I feel like they should have recognized what we were doing, or maybe they just didn't care and they were like, hey, if we can outlast them, this will work. Their allies, gold wasn't even showing up, which I didn't even expect because they kind of exhausted themselves defending against us already. You know what I mean? And they had like wasted so much cement also trying to push and cut us off just to have all their towers get dropped by us, meaning that they wasted cement for another push. And the same actually works on Azure. Even if they did make this successful push, what is kind of the end goal? Azure wastes a ton of cement coming down to jailbreak gold out, and gold just doesn't even have cement to probably fight up mid, which is actually what ends up happening here, because they just don't have cement. And even if they did have cement, we could have just cut them off. I hate my grammar right there. We could have just cut them off the next day. And honestly, this played out really well for us. This played out way better than I expected. I did not expect to win this 2v1, and we were not able to even field fight properly just because we had already exhausted ourselves fighting gold so much. Also, one thing I want to mention, they kept sending rallies. Every time they took this checkpoint back, they would set rallies on our tower, and I think they were just trying to make a desperate push, but it was not working because the second we took this checkpoint, any marches behind it would get locked in. And that applies to rallies as well. If the rally got stuck, even if they canceled, all the marchers are just sitting there on the field to be gobbled up by everybody who just wants free kills. And if they don't cancel the rally, they're going to get a bunch of needless deads in the actual tower itself. So we were just taking advantage of this to make the most of it. We even defend here. I will say this was actually my call as well. I don't think this was a good choice, I'm gonna be honest. We honestly should have defended. We were still trading well here, but realistically, given how good the checkpoint trades were before, we should have just kept that up and just kept going on the offensive. I do want to mention, by the way, that these are full deads, by the way. Like, checkpoints are 100% deads besides anything that your gear negates. So, obviously, like your backpack or whatever, it has I think it's like a 5% if you max it out, like a death rate, it saves that amount, right? So if you get 100k dead, you'll get 5% of those, so like 5k. So it'll only be 95,000 dead, and then it'll be 5,000 that are actually injured. And this is something that is obviously utilized on the checkpoint, but I mean, even then it's super painful, especially when you're going the defensive. So I feel like they have either ran out of troops or they eventually figured out, hey, we're not winning this checkpoint fight. Let's just back up. And honestly, after winning this and pushing them back, we were all just tired. We were honestly tired in the first place doing this push, but we wanted to keep pushing this because we knew it was working so well. This was like really good kills for us. So we just kept pushing. We decided, hey, we'll go to sleep right after, and we do end up going to sleep. I think we knew that we were gonna lose this front, honestly, sleeping it through, but we just, like, evacuated everybody kind of important. If anybody got zeroed, that was really on them. Like, you got ample time. Just don't be stupid and, like, log off in, like, such a risky area, knowing that we are constantly doing tug-of-war pushes with both these teams and that we have 2 teams knocking at our door. So, honestly, this was just, like, such an amazing fight, and being able to do this checkpoint fight was insane for us. Like, this was, like, nothing we've ever done, and I was like, I'm still so surprised they were filling this, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this maybe sounds like just like me being a dickhead, but, like, I really think this was crazy. Like, there was no shot they should have kept defending this. If this was me, I would be like, hey, let's just back up and wait for our allies to wake up, because this is obviously not working. We're getting millions of deaths, not even hundreds of thousands. We're getting millions of deaths each checkpoint rally, because, you know, the report we're showing is only big Ds. And by the way, the only reason I do that isn't because Big D has, like, the best report, but it's because, you know, he's in our alliance and they actually share our reports, you know what I mean, more regularly, so I can actually use it in my videos. And by the way, if you're ever in my Legion, please share your rally reports if possible, because I will show them in my video if I see them, but most of the time people aren't sharing them, and I don't want to constantly go in AR chat, or sorry, like, Legion chat and be like, can you please share your reports, sir? You know, and it just seems like it's a little annoying, so I don't try to ask for them all the time. Sometimes I will ask if, like, it's a crazy report and, like, I really want to see it, or sometimes I'll just throw, like, a troop in there or a march in there, and I'll just be like, oh, that was a nice report. That being said, I don't really want to keep continuing with this. I mean, you're gonna kind of see it was mainly the same thing. We just kind of kept doing a tug of war. We kept giving up the checkpoint. We wouldn't even, like, take rallies unless it made sense for us. I mean, you know, sometimes they would swarm it. But yeah, that was about it. I do appreciate you guys for watching as always. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope my botched voice didn't mess with you guys, okay? Because this is Panda, okay? It wasn't some sit-in. But yeah, you guys have a great day or night, though. I will be seeing you guys in the next video, and that is about it. Peace out.